Hi, everyone. Hello, hi. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are watching these live from. But hello, everyone. My name is Anita. I am super excited to be here today, and I have so much in store for you guys. I have so much to share with you guys. I even have like my notes down here. So in case you see me looking down, just know that I don't want to forget everything and I want to make sure that everything is covered. But welcome everyone again to our Wednesday live session where we bring you information to help you with your study abroad journey and just to ensure that your entire application process is successful. Once again, like I said, my name is Anita, and yeah, we can move right into it. So today's topic is the new UK RAG system. It's relatively new, yes. So yeah, the UK RAG system. Thank you so much for joining. I can see Judith, I can see Mide, I can see Mary. Welcome, guys, and please stay till the end. If you have questions, just drop them in the chat box. I'll be taking questions towards the end of the live. Now, what is the UK RAG system and how does it concern you as a student who has applied to the UK, is thinking of applying to the UK, or anywhere in between all of this? I'll be treating everything in this live session. Welcome, Nkem. Welcome, everyone. And let's get right into it. So, the UK RAG system or the RAG system is just RAG stands for red, amber, green, and it is a system that is used to monitor how UK universities comply with student visa sponsorship rules. Now, this system was implemented June 2026, just 2 months ago, and students have already started seeing the effect of this on their applications. Now, this system assesses every UK university using three key performance areas, which is the visa refusal rate, enrollment rate, and course completion rates. Again, I'll take that again. The system assesses UK universities based on three key performance areas: visa refusal rate, enrollment rate, and course completion rates. Now, what this means is that UKVI, if I want to break it down to everyday term, UKVI is just trying to say that, okay, universities, you've been operating for a long time, but I need you to operate, I need certain areas of your operation to look a certain way. So what UKVI is telling UK universities is that now your visa refusal rate should be less than 5%. What that means is that if maybe you, as a student, you go to the UK or you're applying to the UK and your visa is refused, you apply to a particular school and your visa is refused, um, the university has to make sure that the refusal rate is kept under 5%, no more than that. Your enrollment rate as a university or their enrollment rate as a university should now be minimum of 95%, nothing less than that. Then course completion rate should now be 85%. It previously is 85, or it is 85% now, and they want to ensure that it remains that. And come January 2027, it will be increasing to 90%. Now, I know I'm speaking a lot of big grammar. Don't worry, stay with me. I'm going to be breaking it down so that we all understand what that means for you as an international student. For those people who are just joining, I'll do a brief introduction again. My name is Anita. Today we're going to be taking the UK RAG system and how it affects you as an international student who has applied to the UK or is looking at applying to the UK and all of that. So we're going to be taking the RAG system. So I explained that RAG means red, amber, green, which is the metric system that UKVI now wants to use to judge universities based on their course completion rates, their visa refusal rates, and enrollment rates. Now, The UKVI is telling universities you have to keep your refusal rate less than 5% at every time. If your refusal rate becomes higher than 5%, let's say it is now 6% or 7%, the university falls under the red category. If it is between 4% to 5%, it is under amber. And if it is less than 4%, say 3%, 2%, it now falls under the green mark. That is for visa refusal rate. If we're moving on to enrollment rate, it means that the university has to maintain an enrollment rate that is greater than 95%. So if it is less than 95%, they fall under the red mark. If it is between 95 to 96, they fall under the amber. And if it is greater than 96%, say 97%, 98%, it now becomes the green mark. Course completion rate, which is the third metric. The course completion rate is supposed to be greater than 90%. If it is between 90 to 92 or less than 92, it is under the amber. And then if it is greater than 90%, say 99, 100, 98, it falls under the green. This is a lot. Don't worry, I'll break it down for you. So what does this mean for you as an international student who has applied to the UK or is thinking of applying to the UK? What does this mean for you? It means that universities are now being held to a stricter system. And obviously, if universities are being held to a stricter system, they feel the need to hold you, the international students, to an even more strict system or program. Let's break it down. Offers. When you apply to a university will just assess your eligibility criteria if you meet their entry requirements, and then they give you an offer. But now they have to look beyond all of that simply because they have something that they might lose, which is their sponsor license. Now, a sponsor license is what UKVI gives a university to be able to recruit students internationally, to be able to recruit you from Nigeria, to be able to recruit you from Ghana. Now, basically before, let's say you apply to university, you meet the entry requirements, you get your offer, right? But now the university is going to look beyond that. Are you going to be getting a visa approved in the future down the line in your application? If the chances that you most likely might not get your visa approved, the university is not even going to try. They are not going to give you an offer. That's one. I'll be treating this, subsequently in the live, but just stay with me. Now, they're not going to give you an offer if they feel that your application stands a risk of getting your visa refused. I'm sure some people might be wondering what will make my application get my visa refused, or how would my application be refused, or what is something that the school would be looking out. Don't worry, I'll be treating it. Just stay with me. Now, we go to CAS stage. You've gotten an offer from a UK university, you're happy, and you've moved on to CAS request. You want to make your deposit, you want to request CAS. For those who don't know what CAS is, it is confirmation of acceptance of study, which is a document that you would need to apply for a UK student visa. Now, you've moved on to the CAS stage, you want to request your CAS from a UK university. The UK university accesses you again. You know now that they have something to lose, which I mentioned earlier, which is their sponsorship license, and they want to make sure that they meet all of the requirements of UKVI. So they are going to be assessing every single student that applies to just ensure that each CAS that is given to each student would result in a visa approval. Now you've gotten to your CAS stage, you want to request your CAS, and the school accesses you again the second time. If we give this student a CAS, would it result in a visa approval? Would it result in the student enrolling? Would it result in the students completing their course with us? Those are the questions that they want to be answered. And if there is anything that makes them feel like this person's visa might not be approved, or this person might not enroll, or this person might not finish the course with us, they would not issue that student that CAS. And then everything that you have spent up until when you applied to that stage is gone. Now, what does it mean for you? I've broken that down. So starting with CAS availability, which I just touched shortly, universities are now stricter with issuing offers and CAS. They now want to be sure that if they give you their CAS, you would actually apply and get your visa approved. You would actually travel down to the UK and enroll in your course, and you would complete that course with them. Those are the three key metrics that they want to be sure that every student would meet before issuing CAS or offers. Now, it means that they are going to be stricter with this process. I've said that already. The next thing is increased scrutiny, which I've also touched. So now they are not just looking at you as a student who is interested, who loves the course, who wants to come down to the university, who wants to travel to the UK. No, they are looking at these three things. Are you actually going to get your visa approved? Are you actually going to come down to the UK and enroll? Are you actually going to complete your course? They are going to scrutinize your application further. And what does this scrutiny entail? It entails one, what are your financial documents like? What is your bank statement looking like? What is your history looking like? That's one. Two, what is your course progression? What did you study in the university for your BSc? That's if you're going for a master's. What did you study in your BSc undergraduate? And what are you looking at studying now? What is your work experience like? Those are the things that they are now looking out for. Another thing is, would you actually be able to pay your tuition fees? Do you really have the money that you say that you have? Would you be able to pay the cost of living? Would you be able to balance your tuition fee? Would you be able to, those are all of the questions you're going to be looking at with your documents. So increase scrutiny. Another thing means that some countries are now considered high risk. Unfortunately, African countries, West Africa is considered a high risk country now, simply because of course people travel and then they do not enroll in their courses, or they do not complete their courses, or they go and seek asylum. So these things is what makes a certain region high risk. That's three. Four, higher student responsibility. What does this now mean for you? What should you do as a student? So I want to just quickly break all of this down. Now, you are a student who has applied to the UK or a UK university, and you've gotten your offer, you've passed the first hurdle, you're now at CAS request. You submit a bank statement, and the university goes an extra mile to call your bank. We've seen that happen. They call up your bank, ask your bank, does this person have an account with you? This closing balance, is that what is actually there? How long has this money been in this account? So that goes to say that any document that you are now submitting to the university must be genuine, must be accurate, and must be verifiable. A lot of students submit accurate documents, submit genuine documents, but these documents cannot be verifiable. I'll pick another scenario. Your reference letters, your employment letters, your pay slips, your CVs. Now, I've seen a lot of students in Nigeria and Ghana make this mistake where they just do their CV anyhow. Oh, it's a UK school, don't worry, it will not be a problem. And they submit it. They put work experiences that cannot be verifiable. They are genuine, but they are not verifiable. If the school decides to, okay, call your employer and say, okay, confirm this information for me, the email address is not working, the number is not going through. In fact, the company is no longer existing. How are they now sure that the information you have put on your CV is correct? Same thing goes for a reference letter. Most people are just used to, okay, I'll use an example. Oh, I've worked in social company. Let's say you worked in, what company can I use? You've worked in Nexi. So some people will say, oh, I've worked in Nexi 5, 10 years ago. And then you just submit a reference letter from Nexi that they gave to you in 2012 or 2010. And then maybe the HR that was there before is no longer there, or the manager that was there before is no longer there. They changed their number, water has carried their steam away. There's no way to verify the contact details. And then the school decides to go an extra step and call your reference, and then they can't reach them, and there's no way to verify that the information you've submitted is correct. It's a red flag. These are things that we've seen happen. So we now expect that when you're applying, you have to be more involved, because the universities, like I said, have a lot to lose, and no university will risk their sponsor license because of just you in Ghana or you in Lagos or Nigeria. They are going to make sure that they cross all their T's and dot all their I's. So they are going to be doing more verifications with all of the documents that you're submitting to them. What does this now mean for you as an international student who has applied or who is applying? It now means that you cannot just submit anyhow documents. You have to make sure that every document will be verifiable. Every document is genuine. Every document is true. I've seen students submit degree certificates that is fake. And then tomorrow UKVI ban you. You say, oh, what did I do? It's not that deep. You have to make sure that if you're submitting a document to your agency or to the university, those documents are genuine, those documents are verifiable. I cannot overemphasize that because I'm sounding like a broken record now, but this is very important even at CAS stage. We're not even talking visa stage now, this is at offer stage, at CAS stage, because whatever documents you submit to the university would also be transferred to the UKVI. So you can't submit a different reference letter to your university and then wake up when your visa application like, oh, I don't like this reference again, I don't really like their company letterhead, let's use this my uncle's company. No, those things don't work anymore. Documents are now being shared and you have to ensure that every document you submit is true and verifiable. Now, um, because of this, we've seen certain changes occur from the month of June down to September. We've seen a lot of schools start rejecting some banks or some commercial banks. We've seen a lot of schools withdraw offer letters. We've seen a lot of schools close down CAS portals. We've seen a lot of schools refund tuition deposits because why? They are trying to protect their integrity, they are trying to protect their sponsor license. So what can you do as a student? The first thing, make sure that when you are applying, you seek professional guidance. Yes, this is a process that you can definitely do yourself, but why not just get professional guidance, especially if that professional guidance is completely free. You don't have to pay Nexi Concept a dime to get professional advice, to get the guidance. So why not just use it? It doesn't hurt your application either way. First of all, seek professional guidance. Secondly, make sure that your documents are genuine and verifiable. Third, make sure that you are actively involved in your application. So many schools that were not doing precast interviews are now doing precast interviews because they want to ensure that you are a genuine student. They want to ensure that you are not going to run away as soon as your visa is approved. They want to ensure that you would enroll. They want to ensure that you complete your course. And to do that, they have to have conversations with you. They have to scrutinize your documents. They have to verify your documents. So you have to ensure that you are carried along in the process, and not just carried along. You make a conscious effort and a conscious decision to be involved in your own application. When it's time for precast interview, the interviewer or the school is not going to interview me, that is your counselor. It's you. I cannot do that part for you. I cannot put words in your mouth. You have to do your research. You have to be involved. And being involved means in things like your personal statement, which is your SOP, as some might call it. You have to be able to write this yourself. You have to be able to come up with your intention to study as a student. You're going to the UK, you want to go and study MSc Project Management, or you want to go and do MSc Big Data. You're spending a lot of money. The least you will spend on a UK application in is say £15,000, £13,000, £20,000 if we're adding, cost of living and all of that. In fact, £25,000. Let's even start from there. If we add cost of living, IHS, visa fee, your entire tuition fee. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So you're spending a lot of money for this process. Why not just be actively involved in a process that concerns you, that concerns your investment? Because I see it as an investment for a better life, better education. So why not just be actively involved? Nobody, and I repeat, nobody should write a personal statement for any student applying to any country, any university, for any course. Yes, you can get guidance. Yes, you can get pointers, but nobody should write your personal statement for you. You have pointers, you have examples, you have templates to work with. Come up with an idea. Why do you want to study this course? Why did you pick this particular course? You cannot just say, oh, I want to study social work because I heard that that's where there's a lot of money. Or let me do nursing. I heard that nursing, people that do nursing are making money. Yes, that's a good motivation, but that should not be your only motivation. So you have to ensure that you sit back, think on the application process, and be able to research. And okay, fine, I want to do project management because this is what I want to achieve with my future. This is the kind of job I want to have when I'm done with school. This is the kind of business I want to open when I'm done with school. And that would be like a guiding point for you to write down your SOP. Of course, if you wrote your SOP yourself and somebody is asking you randomly, why did you pick this course? You'll be able to answer such questions with confidence. You are not, it's not when they now call you for precast interview. That's when you are rushing. You open the SOP for the first time. Hey, why do I want to study this course? So, okay, I want to study this course because it is worldwide, it is renowned, I will make money. No, that doesn't work. You cannot be cramming answers because there is even a bigger challenge down the line with your application, which is the UKVI credibility interview. I'll be getting to that shortly. So you have to be ensured that you are actively involved in your application so that when interviews come up, you are confident enough to respond to some of the questions. I've seen where interviewers ask a student, why did you pick the UK? And they're saying, I picked the UK because it is the best country in the world for me to go and study. They have global education. Is Canada not a good place? Is the US not a good place for you to go and study? Why did you decide to choose the UK? So these are some of the questions that if you've been actively involved in your application from the start, you would be able to pinpoint certain personal reasons that are peculiar to you as the applicant. Now, moving on from that, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought about okay, yes, so for interviews, you have that. Secondly, you don't want to get to a stage in your application whereby you have paid your tuition deposit, your cash shield is reading, you're waiting for your CAS, and all of a sudden, the CAS disappears. The school sends out an email and tells you, oh, I'm sorry, please withdraw your application. We cannot give offers to West African students again. We've seen that happen. A couple of schools have done that for the September intake. What happens then? Because everybody is trying to protect themselves. So you have to ensure that you do your research, you pick the right schools, you are sure that your schools are not on the red list, you are sure that your school is going to support you through the application process and all of that. Another thing that I have seen happen, or another thing that a lot of West African students do that I don't necessarily encourage is what is the cheapest school? Give me school that is cheap. I don't care as long as it's cheap. I've even seen students ask for school of £6,000 before. I don't know where they want to see it though. But the problem is you're making an investment. If you're spending, I'm going to give you like a scenario. If you're spending, say, £10,000 on an application or for your application to the UK, best believe that 5,000 other people will want that cheap school or that affordable school. So imagine a school that their tuition fee is £10,000 and imagine a school that their tuition fee is £20,000. There will be over 5,000 to 10,000 applications going to that more affordable school as opposed to a more expensive school that will have fewer applications. The chances of the school telling you that, oh, we can no longer issue CAS for a more affordable school is higher than opposed to a school that is more expensive. So sometimes don't just look at affordable alone. Look at the support that a university can give to you, which is something that if you have professional guidance, a counselor can easily tell you, oh no, for this or for this particular course, go for this school. The chances of getting your CAS and your visa approved is higher. So that is something that only a counselor can be able to differentiate, or an experienced professional can be able to give you. That's another point I just wanted to drop. And then let's say you have now finally gotten your CAS, you've passed through all of the hurdles. And again, another thing that I have noticed is delays. A lot of students are experiencing delays. And that is why when putting in your application, you cannot want to go for September intake and you are just starting your application in July. You are just, or maybe you started your application since, but you decided to wait till the ending of July to make your deposit because you feel like you have the whole of August. No, the earlier you put in your application, the more you are able to combat all of these delays, the more you are able to avoid it. So you can't want to rush through a process at the dying minute. You are not the only applicant. You are not the only student. Now imagine if you're going for a more affordable school. There are like 50,000 of you that the school has to respond to. So obviously there would be delays because you came late. Let's say a school has started issuing cards since May or started issuing cards since April for the September intake, and you are just coming in July or you're just coming in August, you want to come and request for cars. Obviously you are the last minute, so you would experience delay with your cars issuance. So these are some of the things that we try to help our students do. Another thing that I have seen is refusals. Now this topic is very personal for me. Like I want to actually dissect this topic properly because I have seen a lot of very silly mistakes that students make. Now, you want to apply for a visit visa. I'm getting somewhere, stay with me. You want to apply for a visit visa, and you're like, oh, my brother has done this before. Let me just, oh yeah, my brother Ikene, come and do this application for me, sharp, 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 sharp. And then your brother Ikene, who has only done one visa for somebody somewhere, just does a mashup for you, gathers documents, bam, you do visa, they refuse you. Do you know that if you have a previous visa refusal, you stand a lower chance of getting a CAS and even a visa now? Does not mean that you cannot get, but your chances have significantly reduced. So all those mindless applications that people do, you just wake up in the morning and you decide, okay, I have 50 million in my account. I think I should be able to visit the UK. You submit any document that you like and then you get a refusal. And you're like, it's not a problem. Next year I'll go and do a study application. At least study application is easier, I'll get it. That visa refusal is now a chance for you to not even get an offer or even not get a CAS. Because, like I said, schools are weary. They would only give offers and CAS to people that they feel will get their visa approved. And if you have a previous visa refusal, there is a reason for UKVI to look more or look further into your application. And the school doesn't want to take that chance, that 50-50 chance of will you get it, will you not get it. They don't have that time. They don't have that strength. They don't want to risk it. Remember, they have something at stake, which is their sponsor license. And they cannot throw their sponsor license away because of one student. Do you understand? They would rather pick a student that has a clear history, clear and genuine documents than you that has racked up 5 refusals. You have 5 refusals. You're working like this. They will pick those students over you. Do you understand? And even if you eventually get an offer and you get to cast it, further scrutiny is a 50-50 chance at this point. It might be better in the future, but now this is what students are experiencing. So please, as a student, I use God and beg you, or whatever it is that you save, stop putting in mindless visa applications. Go on the internet, search for agencies. I'm sure that if you search up good agencies in Nigeria, our agency will come out. Yes, I'm proud of it. So search for good agencies, search for agencies that can support you. Example is Nexi Concept Limited, that would give you advice, that will give you good counseling, even if it's a visit visa. Sorry, I'm digressing, but this has now started affecting study visa, so I have to drop this point. Make sure that if you're putting an application to get your visa approved. You are not just doing trial and error, because it just might come back to bite you in the God help us. So, like I was saying, make sure that you're not putting in mindless applications, visit visas, not just applying anyhow. You're using good agents, you're using agents that are verifiable, you understand, to put in this application so that you don't get, a lot of refusals, previous refusals, and it now comes back to affect your application in the future. So with that being said, you have now been able to cross all of these hurdles and you've now eventually gotten your CAS. You have now progressed to the visa stage. what is now expected at this stage. Of course, it's UKVI that is, scrutinizing the universities. Does not mean that they would not scrutinize you as a student. In the past three intakes, we have seen a rise in credibility interviews. So we've seen that a lot of students at random are being called for UKVI credibility interview. And there is something that students don't know that I'm going to tell you for free on this live. If you do not pass your credibility interview, your visa will be refused. No matter how beautiful your application looks, no matter how genuine your documents are, if you are called upon for a UKVI credibility interview and you fail it, say bye bye to that visa. So you have to ensure that you are accurately and appropriately prepared for a UKVI credibility interview. We don't know who they are going to call. You are not sure if they will call you. Me too, I'm not sure. We don't know who is going to be called at the visa stage. That is why everybody must be prepared. You cannot be putting in application with the mind that God, please let them not call me, or my application is good now, they're not supposed to call me, or my application is good, nobody is supposed to call me. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's only UKVI and God that knows who will be called for a credibility interview. That is why you have to ensure that you're actively involved in your application from start to finish. That is why you have to take your precast interview prep seriously. That is why you have to take your SOP writing seriously. That is why you have to take your career goals seriously. So when you get to the visa stage and you are being called for a UKVI credibility interview, it just means that they want to access further. Now, you know that at this stage, the school has assessed you and has said, okay, good to go. You are a genuine student, you are a credible student, move on to the visa stage. Now, when UKVI calls you for a credibility interview, they also want to be sure. Out of 100 applications, say for example, they pick you, they want to be sure that, okay, if I pick this one person, is he really coming to the UK to study? Is he really coming for study? Is he a genuine student? And so they go on to ask you questions. Why did you pick this school? Why do you want to study in the UK now? Why did you pick this course? What are your long-term career goals? What do you want to do after you're done with school? Why didn't you consider another course? Why didn't you consider another school? Do you know your tuition fee? Do you know the cost of living in the city where your university is located? So those are some of the questions that they would ask in a UKVI credibility interview, just to ensure that, okay, this person is a genuine student and yes, his application looks good, but let's hear from him. Is he good? Is he a genuine student? If he is, oh well and good, stamp, approved. But if you cannot answer these questions, like I said, even if your application is tied together beautifully well and you can't answer these questions, denied, unfortunately. Now, some students approach the credibility interview like a precast interview, and they see it as, oh, my precast interview was, it was seamless. I passed it. I'm good to go. What is a credibility interview? I can be able to do it now. But you find out that it's a little different than the precast interview, which is something that I've always wanted to touch on for students. So when you get to this stage and they ask questions like, oh, why did you choose the UK? Why didn't you consider another location? You cannot just give them reasons as to why you chose the UK alone. You have to be able to compare and contrast the UK and another destination that you considered and give them reasons as to why you tilted towards the UK as opposed to the other country. Breaking it down, let's say you consider the UK and you consider the US, or you consider the UK and you consider Canada or Spain or any other country, and they ask you, oh, why did you consider the UK and not, did you consider any country? And you tell them, oh, yes, I considered Spain, or oh, yes, I considered Italy. And they ask you, oh, why did you now go for the UK? Why didn't you go for this other country? You have to be able to list out your reasons for not going to that other country and compare them to the reasons why you're choosing the UK as a study destination. Very important. So these are some of the things that they would ask you in a UKVI credibility interview that you have to, answer and answer accurately. And that brings me to like towards the end of this session. Just to recap everything that I have said from beginning, the UK RAG system, the RAG just simply means red, amber, green, and it is the UK, looking at universities and trying to monitor them or rate them on three key assessment areas, which is the visa refusal rate, the enrollment rate, and the course completion rate. And what this means for universities is that they now stand a higher chance of losing their sponsor license if they do not cooperate with all of these rules that the UKVI has set down. And because they do not want to lose their sponsor license, there is higher scrutiny on you as a student. And to ensure that you are a genuine student, you would actually get your visa approved, you would actually enroll, and you would complete your course with them. So they scrutinize you as a student further. We've seen, like I said earlier, we've seen schools now calling banks. We've seen school calling your references. We've seen school doing a lot just to ensure that every document you submit to them is accurate and verifiable. Another thing that we've also seen is that schools are now going out of their ways to withdraw cars, withdraw offers, just to ensure that they protect their sponsor license. So when researching schools, you have to ensure that you are picking schools that would actually support you come what may. I also gave like an analogy between affordable schools and expensive schools and why each of them have their advantages and their disadvantages. I also touched on being involved in your application, like making sure that somebody somewhere is not doing an application for you and you don't even know what's going on. They are writing your personal statement for you. They are going to go and find references and packing your CV. They are doing your CV for you. Mm-mm, that will not work now. You have to be actively involved in your application. You have to ensure that every document you submit to your counselor is accurate and verifiable. You have to ensure that you are prepared for a precast interview and a UKVI credibility interview, come what may. Is it not better that you are prepared and you don't need it than you are not prepared and suddenly it comes up? I've seen a case of a student who submitted a visa application and the student was called for a credibility interview the next day, 9 a.m. sharp. Imagine you submit your application, say today is Wednesday, and then you go and do your biometrics on Thursday, and then you get a mail from UKVI saying you are to attend the credibility interview Friday morning. So imagine if you are not expecting that and you are not prepared. What happens? You will now use overnight to prepare for something that can determine if your visa will be approved or not. That's not a chance that I will take. And that's not a chance that I would advise you as a student to take. So again, make sure that you are actively involved in your application. Be prepared for an interview at every time. If they wake you up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., and ask you, why did you pick the UK? You must be able to give concrete answers. You must be able to know your course modules. I'm sorry, I forgot to touch this. I just remembered. So being actively involved in your application means that you go and research. If you have three schools you are considering, go and compare and contrast course modules. Go and be able to know exactly what you will be taught in school. Don't just assume that it's project management now. They will teach me how to be able to manage projects. They'll teach me business administration. They'll teach me maybe data management. Go to your school's website, type your course, go and read through your course modules. Go and know, how will your course be assessed? Are they going to give you exams? Are you going to do a project? Are you going to travel to another country to go and write? Go and know everything about your course and your school. I cannot overemphasize this enough. I have seen a lot of situations whereby students are just waiting to be spoon fed. This will not work now. No, 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 no. Please make sure that you are actively involved. That is the crucifix of this life. You have to be actively involved because the university has a lot to lose at this time. Even agencies have a lot to lose at this time. So everybody is going to be stricter on the kind of students that they want to process, that they want to process for. Everyone is going to be strict. There's going to be higher scrutiny. Sorry if I'm speaking too fast, but there's going to be higher scrutiny. Like I said, this topic is very personal to me, and I want to ensure that you guys have accurate information and you're making the best decision for yourself because you're spending a lot of money. So I don't think it is wise to spend £20,000, £25,000, and you have nothing to show for it. No. So yeah, Make sure that you're actively involved. You know everything about your school, everything about your course. You are prepared for an interview just in case it happens. So let me just quickly go through my notes to ensure that I'm not missing out anything. We also have, like I mentioned earlier, we have a couple of schools that have stopped accepting financial statements from certain banks just because they want to ensure that applications coming in are genuine and accurate. And this information has been everywhere online. We have even posted about it, in previous times. But I'll just give an example of those schools. The QA higher education system, which includes schools like Ulster, Northumbria, London Metropolitan University, Oxford Brookes University, Swansea, and Southampton, have stopped accepting certain financial documents from certain banks. So just make sure that if you are about starting this process or you're already starting this process, make sure that you do your research and you use, an agency that is up to date in information and can actually guide you appropriately. P.S. Nexi Concept Limited. Another thing we've noticed is that the Cambridge Education Group, some schools in the Cambridge Education Group, like University of Hull London and Aston London, have also stopped accepting certain types of financial documents. So please make sure that you are up to date with information. Don't go and start an application process and then you come and submit a financial document that is no longer acceptable by your school. You know what will happen? They will reject either your CAS or your CAS actually. So I would leave you guys with um, certain pointers just so that when you're starting this, you know what to do, you know where to look for information, you know the type of information to look out for, because of course there will be varying information online, but make sure that you look at the gov.uk website, you look at your school website, you make sure that you are in communication if you're applying to a course, make sure that you're in communication with your program director, you're getting up-to-date information, you're asking your agent, you're asking your counselor for information. You don't assume, allow your counselor to guide you. And there's a way that I always explain these things to my students. When I have a student that says, oh, it's a process that I can do myself, or I don't really need an agent to do this process, I always tell them, I say, you only know about your own process, maybe your sister's process, your friend's process. You are in a WhatsApp group or in an Instagram group or in a Telegram group, and there are certain people dropping their experiences here and there. But your counselor is dealing with hundreds of students at once. So they have like a wealth of experience. They have different scenarios that they draw their decision making from, that they draw their counseling and their advice from. So when a counselor tells you, oh, I think for this course you should go for this school, or I think for this you should do this, ensure that you listen to them, you trust that counselor's advice. Of course, when you know that you're using an agency that is verifiable and looks out for your best interest. So yeah, I said I was going to leave you guys with pointers for your application. So one, as an international student who has applied to the UK or is considering applying to the UK, first thing, make sure that you are prepared, strong preparation. Make sure that you do your research. Make sure that you use a counselor. Make sure that you use an agency that can guide you, appropriately. Two, make sure that you're starting your process early. I have I have gone on and on and on about this. You cannot be going for September intake and you are just applying in July, or you just want to pay your deposit in August. None of that over here, please. Mhm. So make sure that you're starting this process early. Make sure that your document is accurate and verifiable. I have sang this all through this live. It is not just to bring genuine documents. Your documents can be genuine, but can we verify that this document is genuine? Make sure that documents are verifiable and genuine, and make sure that you have serious study intention. If you want to immigrate to the UK or immigrate to any other country for the purpose of study, make sure that that intention is genuine. That's true. The better prepared you are, the higher your chances of getting a CAS and your visa approved. Another thing is, make sure that you minimize your visa refusal history. Like I said earlier, stop putting in mindless visit visa applications or mindless applications everywhere and then racking up refusals on your profile. ensure that you try to minimize that. Even if you want to go and visit your grandparents or your uncle or your auntie, use an agency that you can trust. And like I said, if you check online for any agency that you can trust, just type on Google best study abroad agency in Nigeria. You would see Nexi amongst the list. So do that and pick an agency that you can verify and things like that, and that is also certified by the British Council. Another thing you can do is to go on the British Council database, and you'll see good agencies like Nexi there. So yeah, I have come to the end of this live. I try to make it as informative as possible and I try to break it down for you. I hope that you guys now know what the UK RAG system or the new RAG system means. And I hope that you guys now understand how it affects you as an international student. I would be taking questions now. So if you have any questions for me, I have a couple of minutes left and I am happy to answer your questions. So please, if you have any questions, help me and drop them sharp, sharp, sharp in the comments. I can see that I have people joined from Ghana and Nigeria. Please, I can answer questions for all locations. And even if you're not from these two locations, still drop your questions. I'm happy to answer most of them. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. While I wait for any questions to drop in the chat box, you guys should just please let me know. Okay, I've seen one question. Thank you, Tommy Raji. I hope I pronounced that correctly. How do we access the RAG list? Okay, good. So if you go on Google and you type UKVI RAG system, there is a publication there where you can see list of schools, although it hasn't necessarily been published per se to say, okay, these schools are in the green scenario, these schools are in the red mark, or these schools are in the amber mark. It hasn't been officially published to separate schools into that, because like I said, it just took place in June. So it just is a new system that started in June. So there's not necessarily a list that you can go and find, okay, this school is under red. There's nothing like that. But there are certain schools that are under like a warning list, telling them that they have to be careful because they have rated them and saying that they are in the red category or something like that, and they should be careful. And that list was published earlier on in June, and a lot of schools have been able to rectify that for themselves. But nevertheless, if you are unsure on how to do this, again, you need a professional guidance. I cannot overemphasize it. And here at Nexi, it is free, free, free. So make sure that you reach out to us. You can have a counselor attached to you who can answer all of these questions specifically. But I hope I've been able to answer your question, Tumira J. Okay, I have also seen another question. Do all the UK universities do precast interview? No, not all universities do precast interview. However, at the beginning of the live, I let you know that a lot of universities are now tilting towards doing precast interviews, and they are only doing this because they want to be able to assess if you are a genuine student or not, and also to sort of like prepare you if you get called for a UKVI credibility interview. So no, not all schools are doing precast interview. We still have quite a number of schools who are not holding precast interviews. But I would say that the better prepared you are, the stronger your chances. A lot of students try to shy away from, this school is going to ask me questions. I don't want to go through that stress of, answering too much questions. Just give me my cast, let me go. And then when you get to visa stage, you are among the people that UKVI will now call for credibility interview. It is now like a brand new information to you. You don't now know, okay, what am I supposed to say? And if you fail a school's credibility, sorry, if you fail a school's precast interview, you have the option of applying to another school and moving on with your life. But if you fail UKVI credibility interview, my brothers and sisters, is bye-bye to your visa. So me, I would prefer that I'm very well prepared than I'm under-prepared. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Apia Francis. I also see that, do you charge, another question from Afro Sushi. Sushi. Okay. Do you charge do you charge to with, okay, I think I got that question wrong. Do you charge to only visa application? Okay, I didn't quite get your question, but I want to assume you are asking if we charge for our visa application. No, if you started your application process with us, we put in your application to the school, help you get your cars, we do the visa for you absolutely free. What that means is from start to finish of your application, it is free. We're not collecting a dime for you. I hope I've been able to answer that. Afro Sushi, if I didn't get your question correctly or I didn't give you the answer that you're looking for, you can just quickly retype your question and then I would answer. I can also see one here from M. Georgina who says, I already have my CAS for one of the schools under the warning list. Should I still go ahead with my visa application or do you think I should request for a refund and reapply to another school? My sister, please request for refund and apply to another school. You don't want to go to a school who is under the red list and then UKVI calls you for interview. Or maybe when you are waiting for your visa decision, you suddenly see that they have withdrawn that university's license and then all the money you spent, pew, gone. Mm-mm. If a school is under the red list, like I said earlier when Tommy Raji asked that question, they published like a list of schools, and some schools were under like warning lists. Not they were not their licenses were not withdrawn, but they were under a warning list to sort of like make sure that they meet up the requirements and all of that. So please, so I saw a lot of students that were under those schools, and so many schools had to run and make sure that they were no longer on that warning list, just to ensure that they don't lose a lot of their students. So it is your money, please, Georgina. If your school is under the list, please request your refund and go to another school who you are sure that would not lose their sponsor license in forthcoming weeks or months. I hope I've been able to answer that. Sorry, give me a minute. Let me just quickly drink water. I'm parched. Okay, Apia Francis is asking if we charge for school applications. No, we do not charge for school applications. Again, it is absolutely free. We would counsel you, we would help you, give you school options, put in your application, help you get your cars, help you assist you with your visa process. All of this is done for free from start to finish. You are not paying us a dime. Absolutely free. After Sushi is saying, oh, okay, you re-asked. I meant to ask if you charge to assist with only the visa application. Oh, okay, for this, yes. If we did not start your application for you, we most likely, and you're just coming to us at the visa stage, we would charge you for, well, it's just a chicken fee. We charge lesser than our competitors. So yeah, you can reach out to us directly and then we'll let you know how that process works. But just to clarify, if we do the application process for you from start to finish, we do not charge at all. But if you have already done the application yourself and you just need somebody to help you with the visa application process, we charge a very small token. Don't worry, when you reach out to me, you will see that the token is indeed small. So yeah, any other questions? Let me quickly go through and see. Hmm. People will not ask me questions. Ask me questions now. All right. So I can see that there are no other questions. I'm trying to start from the beginning of the chat. There are no other questions. Oh, Precious is asking me to smile. I'm always smiling. All right, I have to bring this live to a close now in the absence of no other questions. I was really happy to come here and do this chat with you guys and just like share this information with you. We would be here next Wednesday again. In fact, we do this every Wednesday. So please make sure that when we come on here, you know that we have something for you and we have like information for you to assist you. If you also need any other support, please reach out to us. Our Instagram DMs are open. We're also on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. Please, we have a website. We're everywhere. We're ready to we're ready to answer you and attend to your requests and your inquiries. Well, I can also see another question here. I'll take this before I go. Can I apply to the same school after I fail the school's pre-class interview? Most likely, yes. Most likely, yes. But you know that, of course, you need to be better prepared. And most of the time, students don't necessarily apply to that school because they just believe that they want to try something else. I know that you have the options of applying to different schools at different times. So, yeah, if you apply to the school again, they most likely will give you an offer and still do an interview for you. So, yes, to answer that. Okay, in the absence of any other question, I really had fun talking to you guys. I hope to see a lot of your inquiries in our DMs now. And please make sure that you take my advice. Hmm? Make sure that I hope you jotted down my pointers anyway. I don't want to go, guys. I'm enjoying this, but I have to go. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining our live. Um, it has been a pleasure. Thank you, guys. All right, so I have to go now. If you need anything, please, our Instagram DMs are open. If you want to speak to me specifically, you can request for that and I can give you advice. But we have a lot of professional counselors who are also happy to share all of the information that I just gave to you. Bye, guys. Toodles.